let's analyze this first part here. These are actually all samples. I didn't make these. And you know what? That is absolutely fine. And something I want to drive home is samples are completely fair use. Use them as much as you like. You can, as long as you change it around or put it into a song, you can even just like use a whole bunch of just 4-bar loops and put them all together into a new song, and you can still call it your arrangement even though you didn't like actually make anything. Like, it is just an arrangement in that case, but you can still call it your song. And that's how like flexible samples are, you know. So obviously I'm not like abusing samples and just doing that, because I make my own patterns, but I use samples to like be the sound in the pattern. I didn't want to go into a synth and then have to work with presets and knobs and stuff for ages. Like synth, I'll do a quick rundown on synth probably in this lecture. They're quite fun, but it's quite tedious. It's better just to drop it in and go and have your fun there. But yeah, we have different things like a cymbal crash. We have this snare roll, which actually I did edit this one. It had like a little pause there, and all I did was slice out the pause. Like, this is the slice tool. It's how you just cut stuff in half. Like, I don't know, this one will be sacrificed. I can just reverse. But if you see, I stretch this across there, instantly they turn into two separate things. You know, you can always like take this one and re-stretch it out to be the same as that. But hey, you know, you can cut it. So what I did was I cut it and I shortened it, pushed it together, and then it sounds like a smooth fill instead of having that space there. Anyway, I will do Control Z. So actually, Control Z is the undo and the redo key. So you can undo something, as you can see, and then I press it again and it's redo, you see. So this is always quite frustrating, but you can now just press Control Alt Z and you can go back as far as you like, because FL Studio kind of makes a record of everything you're doing in this session. So you can just go back in time as much as you like. But this is basically the history of the project, current project, right? It shows you which patterns you have, what sort of effects you have on here, which ones you're using. It shows the history, what did you do. Yeah, quite useful there. But it pops up whenever you hit Control Alt Z. All right, Control Alt Z is how you reverse big mistakes, you know, instead of just like the undo redo feature of normal Control Z. Another interesting tidbit is if you have a scroll wheel, let's switch back to this anyway. If you have a scroll wheel, you can hold down the Control key and scroll to zoom in this way. This is the best way to zoom in, because usually you're moving things horizontally to position them, right? Just as long as you're holding that Control key, you can scroll in and out as much as you like. But if you hold the Alt key, then you can stretch and squish it, you see? So Alt key and scroll, what do I call it, the scroll bar? No. And scroll wheel. So Alt key and the scroll wheel does this, and then Alt key and Control does this. As you see, if you squish it enough, they just turn into little blocks. Actually, it's kind of charming, especially this part. Oh. I usually don't look at it in this view. I like to see the details. Oh, here's an example of automation. You see how I just draw this? This is, at the bottom is 0, at the top is 100 for the volume envelope, the volume knob in one part in this mixer here. Again, we're just foreshadowing. So, and we can actually change this to compact or wide or a bunch of different formats for the mixer depending on what you're comfortable with. These are all the channels. As you can see, there is a channel link up on everything here. So I can switch this to 6 or 5 or 7 or whatever I like just by clicking and then dragging upwards or downwards, right? and it corresponds to these channels here. And in the channel, you put effects like reverb, which is like reverberation. Let's say you yell in a big room and you hear it reverberate. I'm sure you know what that word means. We have H-Basm's stereoizer, which is the best stereoizer I have found. It really increases the sense of space with anything you apply it to. And then we have the EQ, which I will have like a dedicated lesson to. This is changing the frequency response. Like this is around 2K here, so 2000 hertz. I'm not sure the letter note, but I have dipped it there because it sounded a bit better when I dipped it there. You know, I'm just doing it by ear. And then I drop off the bass because this is a really important one. Everything has bass and everything has treble around here, but it's the bass you want to look out for. The only thing you want like to be playing low bass is your low bass you know. You don't want your main synthesizer to have a bunch of low-end content. And everything has subharmonics, as they're called, of, you know, low bass. Even hi-hat has a little bit of bass extension there, and you want to cut that off because if it has it, then it's going to be competing. You know what I mean? It competes with other instruments, like it competes with the bass. The bass starts getting kind of unclear, not crisp. In fact, this whole mix here, I didn't actually mix it and master it yet. This is all just kind of put in here. First listen, you know. So listen to the bass here. It's kind of undefined, you know. Yeah, it doesn't sound bad. You know, I've been doing this for a while. So my first tries usually, of course, don't sound bad, but it hasn't really been mixed yet. And everything here, everything needs an EQ to make it sound its best and to get it out of the way of other things. Like, for example, if you have a kick drum, you want to isolate its frequency response at the point of impact, right? You really want to isolate it there, and you want to dip frequencies in the mid-range so it doesn't get in the way of main vocal leads or, you know, things in the mid-range, the meat of the song. You don't want it to get in the way, so you do a little dip there to make it more clear, and that's the fundamentals of EQing, and I will definitely demonstrate that a bit later on. This is just kind of foreshadowing, so you're aware. Like, from looking at this, you can kind of see how it works, right? You click and drag these, it moves the spectrum, and each one moves it at a different ratio. You change these to change the bandwidth, which just means like the severity of its curve, basically. And this is position. It's just the position on the EQ. Really, really simple stuff. These are the levels, like rudimentary levels that you'd see here. So these are at 0 because we don't want any bass in a lead synth. We just want it, you know, to be itself, to be completely separate of the bass tones. We don't want it muddying anything up. That's the word, muddying, you know. When everything just sounds like incoherent and not cohesive, it doesn't fit together properly, and it sounds flabby and not fun to listen to. That means it's muddy, you know. Nothing's defined. Like when you listen to a really, really, really produced song, like really well mastered and mixed and everything, like a EDM song or something, you can really pick out every instrument in the spectrum, you know. But when you first throw together a track, when everyone first throws together a track, you have to make all the sounds deal with each other. They have to work together. I apologize for my phone going off a bit. I didn't know I had my volume on. So, yes, that is all that. Hopefully that gave you a bit of a rundown there.